of the Booner path. I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
All right, welcome Saturday mornings with Crunch Time Sports. I'm Caleb Czarnik. I'm here with Michael Gentry. Sorry we were a little bit late, little technical difficulties here, but we're rocking. The show must go on. We're ready to go. A lot of news to get to, Mike. Pistons, Red Wings, Tigers. How are we feeling today?
Oh, it's going to be another great Saturday. Obviously, we got the Super Bowl. We got the Red Wings at 1. We got a little update on our Tigers, Caleb. You know, some good, some bad. And then, obviously, we had the Pistons deadline. So we got a lot on the slate.
Yeah, I'm excited. But, Mike, we're going to get to the biggest news here. Obviously, yesterday on the weekly show, you were – how do I put this? I think you were unfairly treated. I mean, I'm going to say it. Look, the commissioner, Booney's a great commissioner. He does everything right. As he did say on the show, it is not a – or for people that don't know, we do the Pick'em every Friday, and Mike was disqualified from the Pick'em. So that means Jeff moves up to second. I'm currently in third, one game ahead of Klotz. So the Super Bowl really decides everything.
Wow.
Mike, how do you – I guess my question is, are you pissed off about this?
No, I mean, to be honest, it does suck. But to be honest, I kind of brought it on myself. I wasn't able to make it, 2 of the last 3 weeks. So, and those were big for the standings. And Jeff needs this moral victory. So if he needs to be in that second spot to make him feel better to go to sleep at night, that's fine. And I'm not mad at Boone. Boone's a good commish. He goes by the book. So he's pretty straightforward. So it is what it is. I'm just saying next year it's going to be different. We're not giving up. We're pedaling through the whole thing. And I'm coming for Booner's number 1 spot because I was only like 2 games back, but then obviously those weeks happened where I had stuff to do. So I don't know, but I'm gonna bounce back. I'm coming for Booner's number 1 spot, but I'm not mad at him.
Yeah, no, that's what I like to hear. I like to hear the confidence. That's really good coaches talk right there, Mike. That's really good going up to the presser. You don't want to stir the pot a little bit, but I could tell there's a little fire in your eyes this morning, a little bit more, little bit of almost, I don't want to say anger, but a little more like, okay, yeah. I mean, because you were there. For a second there. You were up there for there was a point there you were getting there on Boone's tail, they say.
Yeah. I still would have been at least in second. I think probably a little bit closer to Booner. He might still be in the lead. So, it is what it is, but there's no way Jeff was winning second if I was there every week. We know that. The chat knows that. Jeff knows that. That's why he took the moral high road and moral victory. So it's all right.
Sure.
We move on.
But we're going to get into
if they put my pick in for yesterday, but we'll talk about that later too.
I gave mine out yesterday. Obviously, I gave out the Chiefs if you missed that, but we'll go more into depth on that. Before we get into everything, we will go a little bit over today, a little bit over 11 o'clock. So if you have an extra couple minutes just to stick around, that'd be sick. Let's get your morning started off right. We're gonna start with the Tigers here. The Detroit Tigers signed Jack Flaherty to a 2-year, $35 million deal. The way the deal was constructed, he'll make $20 million his first season with a little player opt-out after the first season. And if he opts in, he gets $10 million in his second season. Mike, I love this signing for the Tigers. I mean, this is a guy that wanted to be here. He was very vocal at the deadline last year or after the deadline that, hey, I wanted to stay in Detroit, but that just wasn't in the cards. This is a masterclass by Scott Harris. You end up getting Lorenzo and Sweeney for Flaherty, and you get Flaherty right back. What were your initial reactions to the Flaherty deal?
It was kind of brought up multiple times that he was rumored to come back and that he wanted to come back, but you just never really see that when players like him, or really just players in general, are traded away and then they make it back to that initial team they were traded for. But I think it's awesome. It's a good move. Obviously, it shores up the bullpen a little bit more. And then you get a guy who like Flaherty that was playing so well last season, and then he got to go experience winning at the highest of the levels with the Dodgers and experience kind of that playoff aspect with that type of team, and then come right back to the Tigers and just initiate that into a bullpen that obviously we had the pitching chaos going on last year. So to have another sure end guy like him in the bullpen come playoff time and throughout the whole season to help Skubal out, no, that's a great deal, and I'm happy to get him back too. The one question I do have is, what does that mean for Jackson Jobe?
Well, I mean, I think this is a plus for Jackson Jobe because, you know, he might not be on that opening day roster because of this move, and I think that's good for him. I'm not saying he's not ready, but it's going to give him a little more time to develop. We could maybe see Mize in that 5 spot. It's not going to be Maeda, so people that, you know, are worried about that, it won't be Maeda. But, I mean, Jackson Jobe, fantastic pitcher, fantastic just player in general, and we'll see him eventually. He could be on the opening day roster. He could be our number 5 guy, but a signing like Flaherty just helps him develop a little bit more. And let's say he is in that rotation. This takes a lot of pressure off of him. This takes a lot of pressure off of guys like Reese Olson. So Reese Olson doesn't have to be like a bona fide number 2. This takes pressure off of 37-year-old Alex Cobb. I mean, the unbelievable signing. You look at the stats last year for Flaherty when he was with the Tigers and pitching coach Chris Fetter, 7-5, 2.95 ERA, 11.2 Ks per 9. He was a borderline all-star for the Tigers last year, Mike, and I can't think of a better signing for the Tigers. And I'm looking at this American League. It's like, where – oh, shout out Doc, by the way. What's up, Doc? What's going on, man? Good morning. Good morning. It's always awesome to have you. But, I mean, you look at this American League. You know, I made a little list here. After this Flaherty signing, I have the Tigers as the second best rotation in the American League. And there's a lot of good rotations in the American League. And you know, I have the Yankees at 4, Cole, Rodon, Max Fried, Lewis Gill, and Clark Schmidt. Red Sox at 3, Crochet, Bello, Hawk,
Sox,
Bueller, Cutter Crawford. Then I have the Tigers at 2. Mariners at 1. That Mariners rotation is unbelievable. But the reason I'm putting the Tigers over teams like the Red Sox and the Yankees is because of Chris Fetter. Chris Fetter just puts them, you know, over those teams, in my opinion. He's always going to give you an advantage.
And let's be real. Those teams have good pitching, but they don't have a Tarek Skubal. They just don't have that guy. I don't think any of those guys, they have great pitching. They have their number ones, but they don't have a number 1 like Tarek Skubal. That's kind of my thing about it. So just there's levels to it. And then when you add a guy like Flaherty to kind of give him that backup, and then like you said, you got Reese Olson, you got more guys behind them, you know, that are still having quality pitches. So it's just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, you go into a playoff series with a team like, you know what, I'll even say the Yankees. I mean, you go into a playoff series with the Yankees, you got Skubal and Flaherty game 1 and 2 versus Garrett Cole and Max Fried. I am taking the Tigers for those first 2 games for the pitching advantage. You look at, I mean, the Red Sox, you face them. Crochet and we'll say Tanner Houck as their number 2, or maybe Bello. I don't know. I'm taking the Tigers there. Mariners, I mean, that's a really good rotation. But yeah, the Tigers got much better. The Tigers got much better after this Jack Flaherty signing. And again, this is a player that wanted to be here. This is a player that, like I said, was vocal. He didn't really want to leave. This is a player that embraces the city, and he's going to give it his all for the city. And this is a cheap deal, Mike. Like, dude, this is 2 years, 35 mil. And if he doesn't have the best year, and he opts into that second year, you're getting Jack Flaherty for $10 million in 2026. Yes, sign me up. Yep. Sign me up. This is a masterclass by Scott Harris. Masterclass. Love it.
Do we by chance have another masterclass coming, or did we just kind of put that to rest by now?
Do you want me to be honest? Do you want me to be honest, Mike?
People, be honest with the people. Are we fucked, Caleb?
I'm getting to the point where you just give up on it, and we're talking about Alex Bregman.
No,
I'm getting to that point. I'm getting ticked off. How much
littering have you done?
I quit the littering because I've been so.
It was just
I've been
getting too much. It was like, it was just.
I mean, new reports come out every single day. It's the Cubs, it's the Tigers, it's the Red Sox. Oh, the Astros are back in. And then Scott Boras comes out and says, yeah, no, but we want 6-7 years. That was the plan from the beginning. It's rumored the Tigers offered him a 6-year deal. He's not a player that deserves 6 years, honestly. He's 31 years old. He's a 4-year deal type of guy. Great player, but he's not a player that should be signed for 6 years. You look at a guy like Scott Boras, look what just happened to Pete Alonso. You don't think Pete Alonso could have got more money somewhere else? Or not more money, but a longer contract somewhere else? He hits 40 home runs a year. But Scott Boras held him out because he wanted to see what the best offer available was. The best offer available was probably offered to him 2 weeks into free agency. And now he waited all the way to February. And now he's back with the Yankees on a 2-year deal. And now he's going to have to go through the same cycle in 2 years. So maybe we see the same thing with Bregman. I mean, maybe holding out is the best idea for the Tigers on him. Because when spring training is a week away and Bregman's still not on a team, Scott Boras might have to be like, shit, Alex, we might need to take a 3-year deal. We might need to do it. And that's when Scott Harris swoops in. I'm telling you right now, Mike, and I'm going to ask you at what point, and I'll say this too, you are a World Series contender. Someone said it in here. Bregman puts us second favorites in the AL. Yes. You are a World Series contender if you sign Alex Bregman with the combination of the pitching, the bullpen, and the young stars that you have in Riley Green, the potential of Parker Meadows, the Kerry Carpenters, all those, the Colt Keith, who know, we could get a huge season out of Colt Keith if Gleyber Torres is productive. Yeah, you are a World Series contender in a wide open American League. But Mike, I'll ask you because I've been pretty furious about it the other day. It's not even fun, like monitoring it at this point. At what point do you just say, fuck it, Alex Bregman's not going to be a Tiger. We'll live through it. We'll go get someone else.
I mean, there's only you and the Cubs at this point. And kind of like you said, if you do just wait it out, I don't think the Cubs are willing to go 6 to 7 years as to the Tigers are going to go 6 to 7 years. So I don't know. You can call it quits as far as that goes, because I don't think that's in the realm. You don't want to be caught up in that situation, having an older Alex Bregman making that type of money at 36, 37 years old. But I think you could at least give up on that fact. But if you, like you said, if it kind of, Scott Boras kind of backtracks a little bit and gets back to that 3 to 4 year deal, I think you're right back in the race. Because if you look at, I mean, I said it last week too, I think if you're looking at the Cubs and the Tigers, as far as the situation goes for Alex Bregman, the Tigers would be the obvious choice, in my opinion. Not that the Cubs don't have some young and up and coming players, but their roster isn't built for like the playoff run. They're not built, like they just don't have the fit for Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman fits like a glove in this Red Wings lineup out there at third base. He's going to be an elite hitter to add to the lineup. So I don't know. I don't think there's a better spot for him to go. Obviously, you could have said Houston, but they already kind of called it quits on that a long time ago. As soon as he went at above 4 years, so you could call it quits as far as the 6 to 7 year, 4, 5, 6, 7. But maybe if he comes back down to earth a little bit, I think you're right back in that ballpark.
Yeah, man, it's been frustrating. I mean, and like you said, like it's hard to give up on him because he fits like a glove in this lineup. He's exactly what you need, a veteran hitter to complement the young hitters in this lineup. He's your biggest position of need. I'm not saying that Jace Young is a bad player. I think he's going to be a good player in the MLB, but he's not a starting third baseman. Right now. He's not a 6-7 hole hitter for a playoff team, unfortunately. Like I said, going to be a good player, but Alex Bregman makes you that much better. Your needle moved with the Jack Flaherty signing. You will break whatever needle there is. If you you will break that if you sign Alex Bregman. That's how I feel. And I think if you talk to other people like that cover the MLB, I don't cover the MLB, but like other people that know, like, they would say the same thing. Like the Tigers are a legit contender if they get Bregman. You already have another all-star in this lineup in Riley Green. And you have Riley Green 3-hole or Bregman 3-hole, Riley Green 4, Gleyber Torres in the 5, Parker Meadows leading off, Colt Keith in the 2-hole. I mean, that's a good lineup. That's a good lineup. Thanks for getting me fired up this morning, Mike.
Hey, we had to do it. I mean,
Bregman,
like you said, this has been dragging on for so long. It seems like there will be weeks where you see like ground being made, and then we go right back to square one, and then it's always the same two teams still in the race: the Cubs, us, and then I guess you could say Houston. But I mean, now that they're out, it's just really the Cubs and us, and that's all you've been seeing and seeing and seeing. So it's like no ground being made, but you still hear the constant rumors. That's going to get you frustrated.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say this, we're going to get to the Pistons deadline here in 1 minute, but, that day, I think it was Thursday, right? I wasn't looking for any Shams tweets. I was looking for Jeff Passan tweets for Bregman, and we didn't get one. And, dude, I think, and truthfully, guys, I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the negative Nancy. And you know what? I might be saying this to get a little reverse jinx here because the past couple weeks I've been saying, he's going to be a Tiger next week. He's going to be a Tiger next week. Who's to say I'm not reverse jinxing here? I think the likelihood of Alex Bregman becoming a Tiger is becoming less and less as the day goes. And Jack says we have the second best farm system. Maybe we'll trade for the biggest need at the deadline rather than Bragg. They could do that. It kind of depends where we're at, obviously, at that point. And I think Scott Harris really prides himself on what he built in that farm system, which he should. He's done a great job. But that is definitely something that could happen. But you would like to get it done before the season so you could be in a really good position to make another move at the deadline on top of Bregman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. At least you would probably want him to start the year, and then you kind of get the cherry on top at the deadline to push you over the edge if, there's any needs, no matter if it is bullpen, another bet, or whatever. But yeah, maybe the reverse jinx does work, Caleb. Maybe you should go outside after this and start picking litter up and just show him.
I was gonna do something like that if they signed him, but the reverse jinx. I already did that. I already picked up litter. But Doc, with a great question, what is your reaction to Lynn Henning saying Alex Bregman would hate Comerica Park? Okay, it is a known fact that right-handed hitters don't necessarily succeed that much in Comerica Park, just because that left center is it's a little deep. But Bregman, he's going to hit so many doubles for this team. He might not hit you 30 home runs, but he will be top 3 in the AL in doubles. He will succeed. He hits for contact, and I think he'll succeed. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think too, obviously, like you said, it is a deeper ballpark and not really a home run hitter's ballpark by any means, but he can still, like you said, get doubles and whatnot and help out on the road. And I'm pretty sure I saw something about his hit map or his hitting map or whatever you want to call it, where he was still hitting really well in Comerica Park. Obviously, it wasn't a ton of homers throughout his career here, but he still hit fairly well in Comerica. But it does raise an issue. But I mean, that's pretty much for anyone. You've seen a lot of players come in here and kind of been limited on home runs, but they're still being great hitters. So he can still contribute in that aspect for sure.
Mike, we were going to pivot to the Pistons here, but I'm way too excited to talk about the Wings. Can we talk some Wings?
Yeah, we can talk some Wings.
Can we talk some Wings? Can we talk some Wings? 7-game win streak. 1 p.m. I am excited. ABC. It's on ABC, right?
Actually, I think it is a national league game.
That is awesome. They are playing the Lightning. Lightning, a good team. Obviously, the Wings are the underdogs. Mike, how you feeling about the 7-game win streak? How are the vibes?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I think the qualities of a good team is obviously you've seen it across all sports when you just find a different way to win, and they're finding ways to win against good teams, no matter if it's on the road, it's at home. They're struggling in the first period, struggling in the second. They pull it away in the third. They're just really digging deep. You've seen the last 2 games, OT wins and just really clutch plays, and then you're getting contributions from all 4 lines. You're getting good defense from all 3 defensive lines, and then the goaltending. If you have the goaltending like this that remains consistent, and they're keeping pucks out of their net, this team's going to be really good, and they're going to continue to play this way. Obviously, it sucks having a break when you're on a 7-game heater, possibly an 8-game heater after today, but hopefully after the 4 nations they can keep it rolling. But the team's just playing unreal. When you're uh, you're a hockey team like this, or you're any team like this, and you're just digging deep and you're finding ways to win. This is what 2 7-game win streaks in a matter of 2 months. It's just really unheard of, especially under a new coach. Even when you get new coaches, and this has happened in different situations, you usually don't see a turnaround like this, or maybe not this drastically. It's just unreal. It speaks to Todd and really the whole team.
Yeah, Mike, you talk about finding new ways to win. I mean, this goalie platoon in Talbot and Lyon has been unreal. 1.8 goals per game during this 7-game win streak. How important is that platoon for this team? And those goalies being able to rely on each other. You know, one goalie gets a night off and the other goalie succeeds, and vice versa. Kind of a two-part question here. More of a hockey question. How does McClellan kind of decide that platoon? And, you know, you talk about the defense. How important is a guy like Mo Sider, as a defenseman for these goalies?
Well, let's start off with the goalies. I think to have a 1-2 punch, you seen it last year. The Red Wings were juggling goalies throughout the whole season, and then you kind of just get Lyon at the end, just standing on his head, and you really only had one guy, and you couldn't rotate out. So to be able to keep guys fresh, and at this point in time, you kind of have like 2 number 1 goalies in the way that they're playing. So you do go with a hot hand, but you always still want to keep it fresh. You don't want one guy obviously taking too many games off and getting cold and whatnot. But this is really what you need going into playoffs, because obviously in playoffs you are going to play the hot hand more times than not, but you are going to need a second goalie to bounce in, no matter if it's 1 or 2 games or whatever it is, to steal a game and, you know, to give that guy a night off. Maybe, you know, he gets lit up game 3 and then you need a big game 4 to keep you going, and, you know, Lyon jumps in no matter what the case is. But you need 2 goalies at least to get you through the regular season, and then you can kind of pan to a hot hand, but one of them is still going to have to come up big in a certain scenario down the line. And Mo Sider, I don't even have words for it, man. The guy plays like 26 minutes a fucking night. He plays damn near half the game. He's, you know, so goddamn young. He's 22, whatever it is, years old. And he's still one of the best defensemen in the league, and he's only going to get better. And you have him locked down for 7 more years. So, like, for him to be playing at this level, and he's been doing it for years now, and, you know, maintaining that number 1 defenseman spot and going against the other team's best, he's just unreal. He's going to be one of the best defensemen, if not the best defenseman in the league for years to come, and I'll stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's an unreal player, dude. He's unreal. And he's a big part of this win streak. And, you know, guys like obviously Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin. Another guy I want to get into right now is getting Patrick Kane off the IR. You know, getting that veteran presence back on the ice and in the locker room. I think that's really big for the Wings. I mean, Patty Kane, probably the best American of all time, and you get him back on the ice. Obviously a little bit older, lost a little pep in his step, I guess you could say. Still a great player. The other night, I forgot who they played, but shootout win.
Nasty.
Larkin, I mean, Kane, that was disgusting. Most most shootout goals of all time for Kane?
Yeah. Yep.
That's an unreal accolade. And when you could have a piece like that in a shootout, that's pretty unreal. And Mike, I guess my question is, are we running it back? Kane goal tonight or today, I guess. Are we running it back? There's going to be juice there. He had some opportunities last game.
To be honest, I think I'm gonna go with the captain today. He always brings a fire against brings a fire against the Lightning. Had a game off now without a goal. That first line is just buzzing. I think since Marco's been in there, it's just brought out a different element. It's kind of got that physicality to it. You get more spacing on that line, and you still have a playmaker like Lucas Raymond. So, I think it's definitely possible, especially with Patrick Kane on the power play. But I like the captain today. I'll just say that. Hey. And Patrick Kane, too, it's kind of a weird situation coming back from his injury, too, because he's been on, the third line. He's been playing with the big boys and Rasmussen, Soderblom. So he's been bouncing around a little bit outside of the power play, and he's still shown effectiveness and kind of brought some offense to those later lines. So good on him, and he's still doing his thing on the power play.
Yeah, I think that goes for any sport. I mean, bringing a guy like that back in, whether he's at his peak performance or not. It's just having that veteran, one of the best players ever to play the game, back on the ice with a young team. I mean, that's always going to benefit. And, Mike, I'll say this. I said it last week. I'm all the way in on the Wings.
Let's go.
They're an unreal team. They're electric. It's a great time to be a Detroit sports fan. For the Tigers, Bregman or not, whatever, the Tigers are going to run it. Red Wings, they're hot. And I guess I say this too. Who was the worst of first team? I can't remember. It was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about in hockey?
Yeah.
Worst
There was a team that started last in the standings, and I think ended up winning the cup. We'll figure it. We'll figure it out.
I can't think off the top of my head.
But it feels like that. It feels like this team's going to make a legitimate run. Obviously, a lot of season left, but I guess we'll close it with this question, Mike. Playoffs?
Yeah. I will say playoffs right now, because I think if they're in this certain scenario where they're in right now, I think you could even see like one of these forwards maybe offloaded, or maybe get the Red Wings are the 5th best prospect pool in the entire NHL. So, and some of these guys' timelines aren't all going to match up with their success. You still have some studs in Grand Rapids that obviously will be coming up, but they have some guys that they could juggle around, and they could move picks. They could move some of these guys. Some of these centers that they do have that kind of have some heftier contracts, and maybe go out and get, another center that's more productive, whatever it is. There's still moves that I think could be made. And if they're in, this winning situation right now, they're what? I haven't updated the standings since they haven't played. Let me check. So then the last wild card spot was 61 points. So I think if they're still, obviously it's so tight. If they're in this same scenario, I think Yzerman's definitely going to make a move. He said it earlier on in his press conference. Earlier on in the year, he thought this team would be a wild card team when they were in the midst of their struggles. I think since they kind of got back into that aspect, he'll make a winning move if it's needed. And I think it is needed. I think there's definitely a piece or two that you could add that would make this team even better than it is. So,
yeah, I mean, exciting times. That's all I have to say. But
yeah.
Wait,
Caleb, I got to ask you, who is your Red Wing? Since people know you've not just recently jumped on the train, but you've gotten more into the Red Wings, the whole thing, and you've been locked in. So has there been that one guy that you've really attached to? I know you liked Marco Kasper. I didn't know if that was a midway troll to get at Jeff too with me. He's just elite. He's elite young kid. So.
I think Marco Kasper's my guy. I think he's my guy. I'll say this: who I've won the most money on, because obviously I put out same game parlays, Pistons, Wings.
Yeah, fair.
Who I've won the most money on, probably Lucas Raymond, but he's an unbelievable player. But Marco Kasper, just watching him play, especially when McClellan took over, I mean, he's been unbelievable. I think that's my guy. Might buy his jersey. And those jerseys for the what are they playing in?
Series, or the Winter Classic Stadium Series, whatever. Yeah,
dude,
those
jerseys are sick.
Yeah,
I mean, that might be a buy. I might have to buy one. A little. If they have a Marco Kasper one up on the shop,
no,
might have to buy one.
They definitely do. Yeah, I think those are. I mean, even the Columbus ones are sweet as hell too. And those I think are big. I don't know. People had mixed emotions about the jerseys last year with the black stripes and whatnot. They looked good at times. I think at other times they were a little bit of an eyesore as far as on the TV goes, but in person they looked better. But these things they're nice. They're a huge step up, and that's going to be electric. In the home of Klotz too, in OSU Stadium, we might have to make a trip out there.
Yeah, dude, that'd be sweet. I had a friend go one time, and he said, honestly, it was the most miserable experience he's ever been to, because he said it was frigid out, like so cold. But he's also, and you know what, I'll give a shout out, Griff. He's also an idiot. So he was probably not wearing the right attire. But yeah, no, that'd be fun. I mean, that'd be an awesome event to go to. But Mike, we're gonna pivot here to another exciting team. Pat D said it. 76ers got caught up in their own greatness, win for the name on the jersey and not the man. The Detroit Pistons blew out the 76ers yesterday on ESPN without Cade Cunningham. What you saw yesterday was a team that gives a fuck. a team that wants to win for the city and a team that plays hard and plays basketball the right way. Unlike Philly. I mean, you saw it in the beginning of that game. Embiid was trying to get these calls. He was flopping. He got a couple calls in the second half, a couple bullshit calls. He's always going to get them. I mean, he was an MVP. And you saw him not get the calls, and you saw what type of team Philly is. I mean, they just shut down. They shut down. The Pistons were running up and down the floor on them. Asar Thompson as the primary ball handler. He looked unreal. We'll actually get to him in a sec about maybe the potential of him running that second unit. I don't know how you feel about that. We'll talk about that in a sec. I mean, obviously, Malik Beasley, career high, 36 points, 9 threes.
Unreal.
Jalen Duren, 13 and 13. Isaiah Stewart played amazing. Tobias Harris with 22 points, a little revenge game for Tobias. I mean, I don't think I smiled that entire game watching that game. On nationally televised without your lone all-star, what a job by JP Bickerstaff and the Pistons. Just an unbelievable win. Mike, were you able to tune in, and what were your thoughts on the game?
I was able to tune in to the second half, so I didn't really see them pull away in the first. But, I think it speaks to the coaching. And then, obviously, the Azor stepped up huge. And it just shows that, like you said, this team I talked about with the Red Wings, finding different ways to win. And this team without Cade Cunningham, without their star, but going up against – and the Sixers didn't sit out anyone. Surprisingly, for a team that every other game they have a star sitting out. They had Paul George, they had Tyrese Maxey, they had Joel Embiid, and they just couldn't find an answer. It was just really a good team game. And as far as the Azor stuff goes, I could definitely see him leading the second unit maybe in the future, and maybe Dennis Schroeder would be a good guy to learn off of. But when you go out and acquire like a guy like Dennis, I assume that he would still kind of take over that second unit, but that might be something to build on as far as the future goes. Kind of like his brother Eamon, he's unreal ball handler. He can do it all. So maybe Azor gets more into that type of build. But no, that was a bright. And going into that game, as soon as it popped up on the phone that I seen Cade Cunningham out, I thought they were going to lose by 40. The spread was like 4.5. I was like, how does that even make sense?
I took it at 6 after they announced he was out.
I was like,
because I thought that was weird. I took it at 6. The Pistons spread. I would never bet on against a home team, but that was a nice win for me yesterday. +6. Hit a little parlay too, Duren and Malik Beasley. That's just light stuff for me, Mike. You know, that's just a typical Friday night for me. Now we have a ton of ammo for Saturday college hoops. But Mike, kind of back to I guess we'll start with this. Schroeder is a Detroit Piston now. The Detroit Pistons didn't have the most eventful trade deadline, to start. They obviously took on KJ Martin and 2 second-round picks. Got the 2 second-round picks just for taking on KJ Martin's contract. And then, they were facilitators in the Jimmy Butler trade, getting Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson from the Heat and Warriors just to kind of make the contracts work and make the roster size work. And then, Schroeder was a part of the deal at first. He was going to the Utah Jazz, and I'm looking at that like, how do you not get Schroeder in this deal? And then Pistons flip. They send Josh Richardson and KJ Martin and a 2028, I believe, was reported second-round pick for Dennis Schroeder. Mike, how important is this for the Pistons? Because I honestly love this move. I think this is the perfect move. They needed a backup point guard. They needed another ball handler, a guy who could play make. What were your initial reactions to the Schroeder trade?
It might not have been what kind of some Pistons fans have hoped for, is if they wanted to add a number 2 or whatever, however they feel about Jaden Ivey being the number 2, or just adding another star in general for their playoff run, hopefully. But you've seen it, as soon as Jaden Ivey went out, this team was in dire need of a ball handler. So as the trade deadline boiled down and they kind of weren't addressing that, and then the last second you get Dennis Schroeder, who obviously played with Brooklyn and bounced around a few teams, Golden State this year. He's had his struggles this year, but you kind of know what he is as a player and as a facilitator. He can score, he can pass, he can play defense. So he's going to kind of be the perfect second unit guy, second ball handler for them. But obviously it might not have been the big flashy move that everyone may have wanted. Some people have wanted, but I think this is a winning move. And obviously you got assets to kind of get him, and then it doesn't really buckle you down for the future by any means. You still can go out next year and kind of address the roster more and more. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Is it an end-all be-all superstar? No, but I think it was a winning move.
Alan W. hit the nail on the head here. A+ deadline for Trajan honestly gives me Brad Holmes vibes. Absolutely. This was an A+. He did everything he said he was going to do. He was going to take on contracts for assets. And then, we needed he filled the need for this team. Obviously in years past with a guy that I don't want to name, our old GM, would just trade for flyers. He would trade for guys like Wiseman and who else do we trade for? RJ Hampton, like guys like that. We were trading for guys that were high picks at one point and maybe had some upside. They sucked, all of them. This was
the worst thing that Troy Weaver ever did was hold on to Bojan Bogdanovic when he was getting offered multiple first-round picks for him, and then you keep him for another year and then sell him off to the worst trade fucking possible and just stop. I don't know what the hope was, whatever was that. Paying him that much, whatever it was, him being a shooter, can't play defense, was literally the worst defensive player ever, and holding on to him.
Dude, he was so bad on defense.
Like he was like some godsend player. That is what set the Pistons back even more, because at one point in time, he was a hot commodity at the trade deadline, and we kept him for no fucking reason.
No, Troy Weaver had no clue what he was doing. Trajan is the guy. And I tweeted this out. Trajan's going to be the guy he's going to put together he's going to put together like a roster that's going to contend in the near future here. And I'm really excited to see that. But, as for Schroeder, guys, I'm going to say this straight up. I think you see a big bump for the Pistons scoring just in general. I mean, you look at guys like Ron Holland, his scoring is going to go up because now he has a playmaker in that second unit. You look at a guy like Marcus Sasser, he's going to get a lot of catch and shoot opportunities, open catch and shoot opportunities, because, he was forced to kind of be that playmaker in that second unit, and that's really just not who he is. Honestly, he's a combo guard. I think he plays better a little bit off the ball. You look at a guy like Stu, that's a lot more lob opportunities for Stu off the bench. Malik Beasley coming off the bench with Dennis Schroeder. Yes, please. But, Mike, I brought it up earlier about Asar coming off the bench. Obviously I just talked about Schroeder, being that second unit facilitator, but Asar Thompson last night is the primary ball handler. He looked unreal. He was able to score. He rebounded. He played great defense. Obviously there were some tic-tac foul calls. He made some great passes. I think a lob or two to Duren.
Yep.
I could see, if JB Bickerstaff thinks it's the best for the team, and I wouldn't be mad at either decision. If he thinks it's best where you run Cade and Schroeder in your backcourt, I'd be fine with that. I don't know about you. And then you run Asar as that backup point guard, because that's what Asar is. In the overtime elite, obviously a whole different league. He's a point guard. He's not like a power forward, what he's playing in that, in that starting lineup. I still think Asar can thrive in the place he's at. And you look at even his brother Amen, with the ball in his hands more, he's dominated. Obviously, he's getting a lot of points off cuts and putback dunks and all of that, and just hustle plays, fast break. But I think Asar will really thrive in that second unit, kind of leading it. What do you think about putting Asar off the bench as the backup point guard?
And then you have Schroeder in the starting lineup, you're saying?
Schroeder would be your two.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from, and there is the upside, and that's eventually kind of what you would probably work towards for Asar, like I said, to be that guy. But I don't know. I think Dennis Schroeder, not only when you have both of them on the court, you could have not like two primarily ball handlers, but both of them can like do kind of the same things, and they kind of bring that defensive aspect. So I think even if you did on the second unit, you could kind of play them both at the same time, because most likely in that point in time, you're going to have like a Ron Holland, or you're going to have a Beasley out there too. So I don't know. There's different ways to look at it. I wouldn't hate it, but I still think when you go out and acquire like a guy like Dennis Schroeder, it was for him to come off the bench and be that second ball handler. But I kind of do agree with you in a sense that we should move towards maybe Asar kind of taking over that role, because that's what he did in the G League. And like I said, his brother does that, and he's elite when they have him as the primary ball handler. So there's different ways you can look at it. But as of now, I think I would want Dennis Schroeder off the bench. And the starting lineup's been pretty well as it is. And I don't know, kind of to have Cade and Dennis Schroeder both be tired out at the same time and possibly, taking the same rotation. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, and if Schroeder does end up coming off the bench, I think we'll see more of him and Schroeder and Asar's minutes get staggered instead of Cade and Schroeder's minutes get staggered, because I think JB and I think Trajan, I think this was kind of his, this is an idea he had too, was playing Schroeder and Cade on the floor at the same time. So if you can stagger Asar and Schroeder to kind of be that secondary ball handler next to Cade Cunningham, I think that'll benefit all parties. And then Sasser can come in for Cade, and then you have Sasser and Schroeder on the floor at the same time. This just made your team a lot better. I know it's a guy like Dennis Schroeder, like he's not an NBA All-Star, in recent years, but I mean, he's a damn good player. He's exactly what this team needed, and you got a hell of a lot better. And like I said, you're going to see point jumps from a lot of players from this move. Duran gets another playmaker. Like I said, Stu, Ron Holland, Malik Beasley. The only player I could see maybe taking a little point drop is Tim Hardaway Jr., because now I think you're going to see him more corner sitting, even more than he does now. Not that that's a bad thing, because he's a great shooter.
Yeah.
But sitting in the corner more, as you let Asar, Cade, Sasser, and Schroeder kind of play up top and be those primary ball handlers. But I mean, Mike, this Pistons got better, and I'm looking at they're in the 6th seed right now. And I guess my next question is, before we go to the Super Bowl, Mike, are they a playoff team? Are they a real playoff team? And by real, I mean, will they win? We'll say more. I'm not saying win a playoff series, but I'm saying win more.
They're going to win a playoff game.
Games.
I think they could win 2. I mean, obviously it does depend on matchups and obviously staying healthy. With Jaden Ivey, it might even be a different story for the Pistons this year, obviously too. But I think they can win a couple games. I think it is going to depend on matchups, but I think Cade is going to be different in the playoffs. And like a player like him, the type of style of basketball that he plays, he's going to be unreal in the playoffs. So I think he'll be able to take them pretty far. I think it'll kind of be who else is going to step up and who else is going to be that, running mate, at least for this playoffs, until Jaden Ivey gets back or till we get another star. So I think they got it in them. But what are your expectations? Really just this whole second half of the season. Obviously you're going into the All-Star break soon. You're going to have Cade in the 3. We can talk about that too. Cade in the 3-point contest, Cade in the All-Star game. But yeah, what are your expectations? Second half of the season and playoffs. How are they going to do?
I want to see this team with Dennis Schroeder. I kind of want to see what they stack up like, because right now they're already a good team. They're a 500 ball team or a ball club. So I just want to see where they stack up against these other playoff teams with Schroeder. We don't really know when we're getting Ivy back. That's going to be a big help when we get him back. But it's staying like he's going to be reevaluated, and I think it's 4 weeks. But I think we can win a playoff series. Depends on who we play. If we could stay out of the play-in and we can get it at home, that's going to be a tough place to play in the playoffs is LCA, because these fans, they want playoff basketball back in Detroit. But yeah, I see us as a 5-6 seed that's capable of beating a good team in the playoffs, because you have a guy like Cade Cunningham.
So if they're the 6th seed right now, they would play the 3 seed, correct? Right?
Yes, I believe. Wait. I don't. Go ahead.
No, well, because the play-in spots battle for the 7 and 8 seed, so I assume 3 play 6. They would play the New York Knicks.
Why? So hold on. Let me ask you this. This is let me ask you a question about this. Actually, fuck yeah, dude, bring on the Knicks. They beat them twice in Madison Square Garden this year.
And Cade's been balling, so I mean,
dude, the Knicks are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Jalen
so
Brunson
good.
In a playoff series. That's tough.
They're so good. Tough. I don't know. Yeah, dude, last year I didn't pay much attention to the play-in because I was so pissed off about the way the Pistons season ended. It's 7, 8, 9, 10. I believe that's who plays in the play-in.
Yep. And then those
Two
two
teams come out of
those-
that. Okay, first and
and
second.
they
tier.
battle
So yeah,
for the
we play
7 and 8. Yep.
we play the 3
Play
seed.
in is how they riddle it down to 8 teams, and then they
and
do the regular playoff.
Chat, we'll say this. Mike is the definition of a bubble burster, I guess you could say. I mean,
Oh,
that
come
was,
on.
I mean, I'm so excited about the Pistons being in the playoffs. He goes, well, they're playing the Knicks. You know, the Knicks are one of the best teams in the league.
No,
Sure, Mike.
I was just saying, if it ended today, that's who they would have been playing.
Bring them on.
I mean, dude,
bring them on.
either way, the 1 through 3 seeds, Cleveland, Boston, New York, all elite teams. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. You
would-
could pick your poison between them. They're all really not good matchups. They're all elite teams.
That's why maybe getting that 5 seed is going to be really important. Getting there. I mean, do you have the standings up right now? How
Yeah.
far are we back from
Milwaukee? They're 2 games
Milwaukee.
back from Milwaukee. And
Yes.
it's Milwaukee and Indiana that are 4 and 5. They are 4 games back of Indiana, 2 games back of Milwaukee.
Yeah, and Kuzma doesn't move me for the Bucks. He just doesn't. I mean, Chris Middleton, he's obviously an upgrade from Chris Middleton, but he just doesn't move that needle for me. And obviously the Pistons struggle against Giannis. Giannis, I think, dropped 50 on us this year. But we got the renaissance of Beef Stew, who could be the Giannis stopper. So we'll see. Could be exciting stuff.
Before we get into we can talk about Cade for a second, but you look at the next 5 games, though, Caleb, pretty favorable. This could be a big swing. You play the Hornets at home. You play the Bulls twice away. Dumb NBA schedule.
We play the Bulls home tomorrow also. Right? At 3?
No.
Who do we play tomorrow at 3?
You play the Hornets at 1.
What?
Yeah.
Mike, are you making a joke?
I'm not.
Okay, yes.
All right,
okay.
you just had me going crazy for a second. So you play the Hornets tomorrow, and then you play the Bulls back-to-back days in Chicago. You play the Spurs, the Hawks. I mean, obviously these are 4 road games in a row, and then you have the Hornets at home on Sunday. But those are, pretty favorable matchups. Like, even though you're playing in Chicago twice, you would hope that they at least split that. They could possibly win 2. The Hornets, obviously, you have LaMelo Ball, and they just won on a game-winning shot, Miles Bridges, last night. But that's another team that you think they could, beat. The Spurs,
Yeah.
I don't know, a little bit of a harder matchup. We're just getting De'Aaron Fox, and obviously you have Wemby, but you got 3 pretty decent games coming up. So,
yeah, and I don't know what they do with Cade. I don't know if they play him or not, because the report was yesterday that they're hoping he could play another game before the deadline. I don't want to rush him back, at all. So if he can't play tomorrow, he can't play tomorrow. I think we're very capable of beating Charlotte without Cade.
especially how you played last night, and you kind of run similar looks. Maybe you insert Dennis Schroeder in there too. Give Cade another negative rest. I can get along with that.
Yeah, but speaking of Cade, not only an all-star, but he's getting the superstar treatment. The superstar push has started. He is participating in the 3-point contest. Not expected. I thought if we were going to get a Piston, it was obviously going to be Malik Beasley. But I'll take Cade in the 3-point contest. And Mike, I'll say this. I just said it actually. The superstar push is real. The NBA is going to start pushing the Pistons and Cade Cunningham more than ever. Does he deserve to be in the 3-point contest? I mean, no. I think he's 112th in the league and, just true 3-point shooting. But we'll take it all day. He's one of the best players in the league. And do I think he's capable of winning it? Fuck yeah. Am I going to put my money on him? Fuck yeah. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. And, we get a Sar Thompson in the Rising Stars game too. I forgot, he got added because of an injury. So that, exciting stuff for All-Star Weekend, Mike. We haven't had this much to look forward to in an All-Star Weekend in maybe ages, 1,000 years, I think. So this is going to be a fun weekend, Mike. And I'm going to ask you this. Is your money going on Cade Cunningham in the 3-point contest? And if you say no, I'm going to leave the show.
1, Cade is the worst odds in the entire contest to win.
Perfect. Juice.
Plus 1,300. I'm going to be
hammer.
I feel like I have to at this point. I mean, there is some studs in here. This is a pretty good 3-point contest.
Is Dame the favorite?
The favorite is Damian Lillard plus 400. Yeah. Right behind him, Buddy Hield. You got Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Jalen Brunson, and Cam Johnson.
Hey, give me Cade plus 1,400. We got Boone here in the chat. Did we get a statement from Gentry on the decision last night? We did. Just good old coaches talk. Just good old coaches talk.
I think Boone will be happy with my statement.
Yeah, I mean, he gave you a compliment, Boone. He said, it was just good old coaches talk from Mike. He doesn't want to stir the pot too much. And yeah, Alan W. I didn't know. Beasley said he's helping Cade out, leading it up to it. Is there a reason Beasley's not in it? There's no way he turned
Maybe
it
he
down.
He wanted to help out the superstar push.
Sure. Hey, I'm not even kidding. That's the type of teammate Malik Beasley is. That's the type of teammate he is. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, that was big time stuff you saw from him yesterday. Dude, I don't think you understand that game yesterday. I had a smile on my face the entire game. That was just an unbelievable game.
Booners.
Do you want to get into some Super Bowl here? You want to get into our picks, little Super Bowl?
Yeah, we could do the Super Bowl. I was trying to pull up the all-star rosters too.
Dude, Cade's team is terrible, dude.
I
is it like that?
Was it like Chuck? I think it was Chuck, Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley drafted like all big dudes. He had like 2 guards on his entire team. He was like Giannis and Shea out there with a bunch of 7-footers. It's just unreal. I think they need to go back to the old format. This East versus West. They're doing too much.
Yeah. What is their?
They got 3 teams, and then so they have the 3 all-star teams, and then the 1 rising star team that wins gets plays or something, right?
You joking, man?
Yeah. So I think I saw that because Cade has the opportunity to play against Azor, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I don't know. Either way, that team's gonna get fucking smoked. The Rising Stars team, respectfully. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I like have an analyst just choose the teams. Should just go back to the East and West format and make it worth something. You got to make it worthwhile. Like give these guys some money.
Yeah.
Who knows? Whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have the most competitive, best basketball game out there if you put some incentive behind it and actually made these players driven to play. Have all the you have the 20 best basketball players in the world playing. Put some incentive behind it. I want to see some defense. I want to see a real fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just trying their best to make the game competitive. We'll see. I always like watching it, even though it's not the best product. It's still fun to watch the best players in the world kind of just fuck around and shoot half-court shots and shit. It's pretty awesome, and this year especially excited because you get to see.
I'm always behind the dude that is just trying his ass off. There's always that one or 2 guys for each team that's just giving it their all. Like they're out there trying to earn starter minutes in an all-star game. So I always got respect for those guys. I know it was like Jason Tatum one year. He was actually playing like full-on defense, and I respect that.
Imagine being like LeBron, who's been in it 21 years, and you have fucking Jason Tatum. Like you're in the post, and he's fucking checking you. You're like, what the fuck's going on, man? Leave me alone, dude.
Just relax.
Leave me alone. You need to relax, man. You need to relax. We're gonna get into our Super Bowl bets here real quick, but we do have a bet from the Doc. Doc's dollar winning bet, Wings money line today. Book it.
Wait.
Doc, I'm with you. What, Mike?
Okay. All right. No, I didn't see it at first.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm taking the Wings money.
Let's go, Doc.
Let's go. They're getting the dub today. 8 in a row. That's the only thing that makes me nervous is that they're on a 7-game win streak. But I think they're capable of winning 10. Honestly. I think they're capable of winning 10.
Yeah, it is a lot of games in the row, and I can kind of see that. But one last game before break, and games against Tampa have always been different, and they're especially different when they're in LCA. There's a different type of vibe to them. Every time I've went to a game like that, something has like conspired. There's always been a little storyline behind it. The players are always juiced up. Let me just say that. The Red Wings are always fired up to play Tampa Bay, and I can say that from experience. So I like the edge in this game, even though Tampa Bay is a great team, great goaltending, great defenseman, top line, Braden Point, Kucherov, Gensel. Those guys are all unreal, but Red Wings are different against Tampa Bay. They bring the edge, so I like it.
Yeah, I'm taking them, and I might parlay it with a little Dylan Larkin goal, like you said. But, Mike, speaking of bets, we got Super Bowl. Chiefs they're giving 1.5 to the Eagles. And I said this on the show yesterday. I know a lot of people are sour over the Lions over the Lions losing, as am I. But I think a lot of people are upset that the Chiefs are in it as well. This is going to be a great football game. A lot of people that are watching and saying they're not going to, or a lot of people saying they're not going to watch. Yes, you are. I mean, this is going to be a great football game. I mean, the spread is basically a pick 'em. I mean, even Vegas doesn't know who's going to win this game. This is going to be awesome. And obviously, I took the Chiefs -1.5 last night. Just because I don't want to be on the other side of bad officiating and the Mahomes magic. I just wouldn't be able to live with myself if I lost money and I said, God damn it, I bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I just don't want that to be me. I'm not saying that Kansas City's the better team, because I think Philly on paper is the better team. I think one advantage Kansas City has is obviously Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes against two rookie DBs in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Obviously, those two guys were unbelievable this year. But, I mean, when you haven't seen Mahomes in the playoffs yet, I think you're in a little bit of trouble. And I don't want to see C.J. Gardner-Johnson win a Super Bowl, because that guy's a fucking clown. He's a clown. I mean, Mike, you saw those statements yesterday. He said playing in Detroit was hell. You will never see another player say that about, a Dan Campbell era, Lions ever. It's just, he just wasn't very good. And, I know our guy Easy gave him some shit, well deserved.
Well, when you get cut out of the friend circle and then they send you packing and you got to go find new friends, no one's usually happy about that. So when we didn't want you, you can go back to Philly, do whatever, be unhappy, be a cancer, be an idiot there, go wear the ski mask, do all that, and go be butthurt. We wore
ski masks for him, Mike.
Yeah.
It's still in my car.
The guy was chirping at halftime, the legendary picture waving to the crowd goodbye in San Fran, and then gets dusted the entire second half. We're going to see it. And like you said, those Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, even though those guys are rookies, Quinyon's elite, Cooper DeJean's elite. I could definitely see Mahomes attacking C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the slot. That's going to be a thing. So the story will write itself on him. And I don't know. He always has the worst karma, and shit comes back to bite him. So it's gonna work itself out again.
Well, the question is, I mean, obviously you weren't there on Pick'em, but where's your money? Where's your money going?
I sent Booner my pick yesterday too, but the Chiefs -1.5. But
is it kind of? Do you get the same vibe as me, where it's like, God, Philly's so fucking good, but I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? Or do you honestly think Kansas City's a better team?
No, I think Philly's really good. I think overall probably Kansas City is still a better team. Patrick Mahomes is just going to find a way to win. Like you said, the black magic. I think Saquon Barkley will still have a good game. I think similar to the Buffalo game, I don't want to say the tush push is irrelevant, but I think the Chiefs are going to figure out a way to counter that, just like they did to Josh Allen in the red zone. So I think the Eagles are going to have to figure out a little bit how to rely on Jalen Hurts' arm in the red zone, kind of get A.J. Brown back into that fixture. And obviously Saquon Barkley is going to continue to have to, do what he's been doing. He's been absolutely unreal, like you've said. And he's going to have to be a big part of them winning this Super Bowl if they were to win. So I think, and like Mahomes is going to be able to battle back no matter what. He's going to be able to throw the ball. He will get points on the board. At one point in time in this game, they will have to rely on Jalen Hurts to show up and use his arm. And you have not seen that really throughout this playoffs. You haven't seen the Devontae Smith, the A.J. Brown that you're normally used to seeing. You've been seeing more of these checkdowns to Dallas Goedert and him getting 8 catches a game and, whatnot. So I don't think that real aspect is going to get them far in this game. I think they are going to have to kind of get A.J. Brown more involved and these elite wide receivers more involved too. So it's going to be a good one. I think for the people that say they're not going to watch it, I don't agree with that, or I don't believe that. But I'm taking.
I'm going to watch it, and I might get drunk for it. I mean, I'm going to have a good time watching this game. I might be getting drunk out of sadness. Because the Lions aren't in it, but that's besides the point. Makes me want to tear up thinking about it, because they should be here right now. But next year, mark my words, they will be in this position next year. But Mike, I think Eagles fans think Jalen Hurts is some fucking superhero.
He's a good quarterback.
He's a good quarterback, but dude, like you said, if they're gonna have to rely on him to be that guy in the game, I don't know. Especially against Steve Spagnuolo. Spagnuolo's gonna send some crazy stuff at him,
Yeah.
and I don't. You saw it even against the Rams. You saw it against the Rams in the playoff game. They sent some wacky blitzes, and Hurts didn't know what to do. Obviously, Hurts was a little shaken up, had that little knee thing, but yeah, I'm all in on the Chiefs. I appreciate success. I respect success. I don't hate Mahomes as much as others. Obviously, there's people in his family that are not the coolest people on earth, but
No,
him as a
definitely
guy, he's a fantastic player. He might go down as the best quarterback of all time, and I respect greatness. But Mike, speaking of greatness, me and you are going to put together a little 2-leg parlay here for the Super Bowl. Obviously, we'll have more bets. I might tweet those out. But we each came with a prop bet, and we're gonna, parlay them 2 legs. Last time we did this, Mark Andrews screwed us.
Yeah, it was one catch. Mark Andrews,
One
right?
catch, dude. It was one catch, dude. That parlay. This was weeks ago, guys. I don't know if you guys tailed Mark, dude. That was like plus 2,000, and we were one Mark Andrews catch away. But that's why it's gambling.
Yeah, and he had like 4 handoffs that game. He had the one penalty where he caught a pass for 5 yards, gets called back, and then he had a brutal drop. Like, all odds were against us right there. I don't know. They just didn't want him to get that 3rd catch.
Yeah,
And,
brutal.
Boone says here, Travis Kelce, everything.
Yeah, I love Travis Kelce in this game, and my pick almost feels like fading him, which scares me a little bit. My pick, Mike, I'm taking Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches plus 106. I just think is that close to yours or no?
No, yeah, I was battling between a couple here, and that was one. Go on though. Sorry, didn't mean to take the stage.
No, you're good. I didn't want us to have the same one, so I would have pivoted because there was a couple more I liked in this game. But I just think they're going to want to get him the ball. He's one of their best playmakers right now, and obviously the Eagles have very good corners. Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. So they're going to give him the ball in any way possible, whether that's screen passes. We're not asking for yards here. We're just asking for catches, and I think they get him the ball 6 times. Even those little jet sweeps, when the quarterback gets it and just tosses it, that's a catch. Yep. So I think he gets 6 of those. At plus money, plus 106, love it. If I was putting it in a bigger parlay, I'd probably take it. I would probably take him 4+ receptions. But yeah, that's going to be my pick. Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches. And Mike, let me say this: Xavier Worthy's a great player, and I think people forget because he did bad things. But Rashee Rice, when this team comes back next year, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, oh shit,
yeah,
like dude, that is because Rashee Rice is
he's unreal,
dude. He is so good. And you add Xavier Worthy, dude, oh my God, that is terrifying. But yeah, Mike, Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches, plus 106, going to give us a little juice in this parlay. What you got?
So I'm going to go to the Eagles because I had 2 for the Chiefs side. I did have Xavier Worthy catches on mine, actually. And then I had Marquise Brown, 40 yards. It's 40.5. Just take the 40 straight, even money, whatever. And then my Eagles side of the things, or side of my bets, I had Devontae Smith. It was at 3.5. Now it's at 4.5. I don't know if it's still going to juggle for his receptions. I think they're kind of will key in on AJ Brown a little bit, and I think the way this game's going to go, they will at one point in time have to throw the ball. I think they'll be chasing a little bit. They'll have one of those drives where they will have to pepper the wide receivers. I don't think Dallas Goedert's going to be as effective, like I said, and as he's been in past games. You're going to have to get these wide receivers involved. Give me Devontae Smith over 4.5 catches.
Like it, Mike. Devontae Smith, I'm not even kidding, was on my radar too.
Have you seen what Devontae Smith has done in the Super Bowl?
Well, I remember the last time they played the Chiefs,
and it was like the NFC champ. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's my friend made a good point to me about this. Devontae Smith like always seems to like come up big in these big games. Like he always seems to play well. And that's a guy I would like to have my money on. You said 4+ catches. That was your pick?
Yeah. Oh, so
Yeah,
his last
I love
two
it.
games against the Chiefs, he has had 6 catches for 99 yards, 7 catches for $122. No receiving touchdowns in those games, but like I said, they focused down on AJ Brown, and obviously they are great at stopping the run. Chris Jones, there's a lot of guys that they can send at Saquon Barkley. He's still going to be effective, but I think Devontae Smith has a game.
Mike, I'm looking right now. I want to check the odds on one player to score a touchdown. Let's see here. Okay, number one, you could get Kareem Hunt at plus 145. There's some value there.
What happened to
And
Isaiah Pacheco, man? Holy hell.
Kareem Hunt's just really good. That's all it is.
But like for a guy like Pacheco, you expect even in the red zone, he can, bounce off a few guys, end up in the, fall into the end zone. And those opportunities, they've still been giving it to Kareem Hunt, which is a little bit mind blowing. I expected Pacheco to kind of get routed back into that offense, but I mean, good for Kareem Hunt, and he's been unreal. Like you said, he's been good. He can catch the ball, and in those red zone situations, he's been showing up. So,
Mike, I have 2 plus 600 touchdown scores here, dude. Okay, there's a couple here
plus
that
600 for two of them, or
no,
just one of them.
Each. I'm gonna take one or the other. Another one I want to point out. I mean, dude, you could get AJ Brown at plus 180. You could get Dallas Goedert at plus 310. Dude, 2 I want to point out here. Tell me what you think. Juju Smith-Schuster plus 600. I think there is some real value there. Hasn't scored he has 2 all season long. That might be why he is plus 600.
Right.
Doesn't really do much in that Chiefs offense, but I could see him getting in the end zone. And then D-Hop, I could see him maybe getting in the end zone. It just feels one of those weird games. Maybe like Noah Gray gets in there. I think we're going to see like a weirder touchdown score here. I don't think it's going to all be favorites, but we just got to pick the right one. And Mike, I trust us that we're going to do that. Chat, Mike, anything to say to wrap it up?
Oh, sorry. I was looking at D-Hop's touchdowns. I'm trying to see. So
he has 5.
Yeah, and it's been a solid 5 games.
He's
5
due.
games.
Mike, that is called being due.
Yeah, I just had to scope it out. Yeah, if we're gonna take a little lotto one, I think D-Hop. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a safe and fun Super Bowl. Obviously, if you're drinking, don't drive. Get an Uber or something, and don't drink too much because I'm assuming a lot of us have work on Monday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Mike, anything, take us home. You got anything?
No, Red Wings, big game at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Tune in to the boys. We're going to make it 8 in a row, and then we're heading to the break. And then, obviously, we got the boys. I'll be there. Super Bowl stream on Sunday. Booner, Lukas, Jeff, all the boys will be there. So tune into that, and hey, let's win some money. Tune in with the boys. Come hang out.
Hey, sounds good. Hope you guys all have a great, safe weekend. Thank you for tuning in. We love you guys.
Love
Shout out, Doc. Peace out.